Howdy, all you delicious people. I am here today to review Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, episodes 9 through 12. So, I'm kind of getting a little bit stymied with coming up with the perfect poetic way to say every little bit of everything that I want to get out about this show. So, if I'm kind of all over the place, or if I'm to kind of go on and uh, be kind of not getting to like a full on like flow, like my apologies. So, I would go on and say to you that if you were to have gone on and watched episodes 1 through 8, I feel that that is to go on and be your season 1, in my opinion. These episodes here are to honestly be a victory lap. They feel like they're to go on and just need to do something because they kind of ran out of story to tell you here. So they just do this. There is some moments, there is some entertaining things here, but also I would cry out the words location, 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 and also just be like, this is really what we're doing to finish this season up. Like, we're going on and just adding a bunch of characters that we're clearly not going to give an F about, and they're whiny B-word babies, and we're going on and we're really finding out that we're having characters that we've invested in that are not going to go on and give us a satisfying end to their characters, in my opinion. So, when I go on and I look at Zom 100 as a whole, I would look at a number of video games because really that's what this show kind of feels like. It feels like a video game to me. It doesn't feel like an anime. I would go on and I'd compare it to Dead Rising, Lollipop Chainsaw, uh, I'll say Sunset Overdrive, and I'll say Walking Dead Telltale games, or Telltale series. I think there's like, out of the four of those, there's like bits and slices and pieces and stuff that kind of can be seen within somewhere of here. So if you are to be gamer people, check all those games out. So I would then go on after watching 8 episodes and need to talk about these. And so here's how I'm going to break this down. So when I was to say the words location, 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 when I look at zombie apocalypse things, uh, the most appealing thing about them is this big, massive area that you have to just uncover, unravel, and I want to get the lore. I want to know this whole thing, and I'll get that through this big, huge, lavish place, like a mall or a movie theater or a mansion or a or a laboratory. Da 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 da. Yeah, on and on and on we go. All of those places could be very seductive and very enticing visually. Ooh. But now, when we go on and we make our way into what is to be the tail end of these episodes, we have a farmland. I know in The Walking Dead we have like the whole Herschel barn farmland thing. Yeah, that is to be after a season of being in Atlanta and doing a lot of cool, interesting things there. After that, like the success of that show, they could have just gone anywhere, and eventually they went into like the Herschel barn. They went into the prison with the farming, and a lot of that was just like, man, this is really stretching things out. But Walking Dead was to be just so successful that they were like, yeah, we can just stretch all this out because people will just watch it, and then eventually people stopped. So if you're trying to going on and being like a Walking Dead clone, people are going to point that out to you. So, anyways, So when we go on and when we have a farmland, I can say that real world vibes that this really show has. For a real world, like this is a really smart strategic way or place to go. And it does actually make sense to eventually write this story to get there. But eventually, once you get there, you need to have a good number of stuff that isn't going to make me go on and be like, God, yeah, this area sucked, but at least there was so much going on that was so, uh, like, still satisfying. But no, they picked a boring location, and then they eventually did boring shit in here, and they basically reinvented another kind of Tendo character with his own group for these people to really give you their life stories, and these life stories are not appealing whatsoever. They're whiny B word babies, and really there is no logic behind what they're doing because, of course, there isn't. Because they're stupid people. They're almost like a brain cell away of being a zombie, as far as just my thoughts are to be concerned. So, then we go on and we have our characters that we've invested in. So, Tendo, by the end of all this, when immediately he goes to the farmland, he immediately just is to have his lips just attached to his father's ass. And in all honesty, I feel that Tendo needs to be latched onto something because he's never going to become his own person. He latches on to this job that he has. And when that dies, he latches on to this list that he has. He latches on to Ken, he latches on to Shizuka, he latches on to Beatrix, and then eventually when he makes his way to this farm, he latches his way back to his father. Because he still has to win this guy over, right? And so Tendo never really becomes his own person, and he is to never really figure out what his dream is because he just has these things to latch onto, and like he will never be a person until this 100 list is done, and we will never really see that happen now, will we? And eventually maybe he'll die before that actually happens. So kind of a waste of a main character. Then we go on and we have Shizuka. Shizuka, to me, I was hoping that this person was going to be Batman. I thought the further and further we were going to go along with this character, the more that she was going to give so much strategy to the zombie apocalypse that I was going to be salivating within every episode. That she was going to go on and she was going to have her own outfits. She was going to have weaponry. She was going to go on and just be chess moving her way through this whole thing and just be so dominant like a Batman. How Batman is to be an intimidating presence wherever he goes, and how he's the think tank through everything. And then I look at Shizuka, and this is a character that has not gone on and changed since me first seeing her, with the exclusion of her becoming a doctor and her becoming dumber and dumber as she goes along in the show, clearly. To the point to where when there's a gun in her face, I'm like, pull the effing trigger, finish this character off, because really, she is the most disappointing thing of this show. So now we get to Kensho. Kensho is to be a character that we were pining away about, hoping that he was going to finally get to this stage and do this comedy bit and go on to uh, really justify that whole crossing off that list of thing. And what happens? We have Kensho that goes on and juggles in front of a girl and makes a sad girl laugh. Ooh, yeah. So that is to be somehow a stand-up comedian? Well, I guess he was standing up while juggling and making this girl laugh, so I guess that's stand-up enough, right? You would think Kensho would have an audience with all these elderly people that he can go on and just carve out a stage somewhere and just have a 10 to 5 minute segment and then cross that off that list. No, heaven forbid, right? That's what a stand-up comedian is. He goes on a stage and he does stuff for X number of minutes. What? And so now we are just left with Beatrix, a person that is to quickly lose, except for her combative skills. And her big old chestises. Anything that is to go on and be like, what are you going to do with this character that is going to make me feel that this character needed to be there? Not much of anything. Like, yeah. Besides her combat and besides her big chestises, yeah, like, I just don't get it. I just don't get this character. Like, yeah, like, I just don't quite get her. Why do we have to? Why did this character come in so late? She could have been so well used so much more earlier in the show. If anything, this character should have been Shizuka. And you could have fused Beatrix and Shizuka together, and this could have been the perfect character that I would have been so much more satisfied about. But no, you just gave us what you gave us, and I'm just whatever. So I'm having to be disappointed in two characters instead of being completely satisfied by one. So that's on you, show. So we then go on. Also, like, did I mention like the Shizuka become a doctor thing? It's good that she was to live out her dream. Kensho going on and dipping himself into a vat of crap. I'm like, okay, comedy still, I guess, but whatever. Like, they had to blur him out the whole time, which is weird. I was like, okay, what are we doing here as a show? We're just censoring him more. Like, was this really just strategically a smart idea to do this? Plus, also lump Kensho in with a guy that he's just whining and complaining about his ex-wife when, really, like, that was so entertaining, right? Anyways, so we get to the farmland, and eventually we have these moaning and groaning kids that are deciding to go on and create chaos upon this farmland because they have a notebook too, and they rattle off a list of all these chaotic things that they want to have, like, oh, I want to just thrust my tongue down a girl, and like, you have a girl in your team but no lip lock in there. Like, that list could have been done so quickly, but whatever. Firing off a gun, creating chaos, whatever. So, and we have the leader of the group wanting to go on and confront Tendo and want him to become a zombie after they bulldoze their way through this town with all these zombies that were stuck in this tunnel that Tendo and his group did not go on and resolve, which they could have easily figured out a way to, but they could not have been bothered because really, like, the way that this third act happens, I really could go on and blame this group for not going on and giving a crap about resolving that whole situation. They could have come back to that tunnel and killed off all of those zombies and could have been having that threat not loom over them. That's on them. That's their stupidity. So we then go back and we have this leader character that is confronting Tendo, and we have to have Tendo that goes out of his house to confront this guy, because it's either that or it's just a battle of nutrition at that point. Who's going to fall asleep first? Or otherwise, the bad guy leader can go on with his bulldozer and just crush Tendo's house and call it a day after that. So, like, them just waiting here for Tendo to finally figure something out is to just be like, why are you going on and just delaying this? Why are you prolonging this? And what eventually Tendo does figure out and does plan was to actually just be a stroke of genius. I'm like, oh my god, yeah! Like, luckily you kind of conveniently have a person that is to kind of go on and kind of work things out at the end here, and have to tell her or tell her story here. I'm being very vague. There's a woman that comes into this thing here, and she works for the movies. She works for film, and eventually it's kind of funny that they end up doing the whole, like, there's a zombie apocalypse that breaks out on a zombie apocalypse set, which I'm like, you know what? That right there is a brilliant idea that they did F all with. And you know what? That right there should have been the thing that should have started Patient Zero and should have just had this whole thing go out. That would have been a thing that I would have been like, oh my god, that should have been the show. We have Tendo, who's kind of perfectly aligned with him working with these movie people, and he could have been on set, and then the zombie apocalypse could have happened that way, instead of him going on and him just making his way to his landlord and finding out, oh, zombie apocalypse, and then he'd be realizing, like, oh, I need to go to work, and then, oh, I'm free. Yeah. If Tendo would have gone to the movie set and then would have had the zombie apocalypse break out, then, like, that would have been a lot more entertaining. You could have gone on and stretched the whole thing with him being at this movie set where he really has problems getting out of it. And that could have been a lot more entertaining. Plus, also, you could have gone on and found some intriguing people. Like, you could have had Tendo meet up with maybe actresses or actors or people who were in the production of the movie. And that could have been a heck of a lot more entertaining than what you delivered here. So, the fault is on you, show. The fault is on you. Or also, you could have gone on and made a superhero zombie apocalypse, and you really could have leaned heavily into that. Once you started that whole superhero idea, you really should have kept with that. But you completely just was like, well, we're just filling a quota. Okay, we'll transition to what this is now. Farmland. Ooh, how exciting and unattractive. Anyways, so we push on here to this stalemate where this leader has Tendo's dad, so he has to come out. They go on and they strategically figure something out, and then eventually after that, they have to confront the guy, and they ask him, like, well, hey, why did you go on and why did you do all this? And of course, since this guy is dumb anyways, because every one of these bad guys were freaking dumb, brain cell away from being a zombie, all this guy wanted is just another time at a pool with his friends. Stupid. So we then go on, and after this whole thing is to be kind of wrapped up, because we just have a bunch of people all going on and fighting people, and then being very preachy, and then they have to figure out a way to, hey, let's just wrap this up, because like this isn't entertaining. It's getting really boring, and like we really just need something to do. So they go on and they all get together after the tree house guy is to make his way back into the farmland and just start helping people rebuild their homes. They go on and they put more onto this list, which we'll never really see what that is, and it really doesn't matter anyways. It's just shit to fill on the list. Just so that way there's like seemingly a promise that there's going to be a second season. But when was the last time the show was done? There's probably not going to be a sequel. Blah 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 blah. So we go on to have them kind of ride off into the sunset because they're going on and they're planning for yet another road trip, because Tendo was just kind of checking up on his parents to see if they were okay or dead or zombie food or not. And it seems that since they were fine, he was like, okay, well, like I just have to go on and figure out a cure for this zombie apocalypse because I have nothing better to do in my life. And I still have to just latch myself onto this list because I'm not gonna ever find out that I'm gonna be a real boy, because I'm still Pinocchio, uh, the wooden boy. So they ride off in the sunset, and so yeah, so that kind of ends our season here. So yeah, like I want to say that they had good ideas, but just crap poor execution of how to end the show. Like once we were to go on and have things start popping off within this farmland, I'm like, thank God. Because like I just needed something to get me through these episodes. But even that, it's like they dragged everything out. So it was just like, man, I was just kind of like, I should have stopped at 8. I really should have. But if anything, let's go on and let's rattle off what was to all go on and happen via these last bit of episodes, be it blow for blow, be it scene for scene. So I think it's about that time to go into spoiler time, spoiler time. It's about that time to get spoiled these episodes. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about Zom 100. If you were to like this show, hate this show, or eventually you find out that it's another zombie apocalypse thing, because eventually you might have just latched onto this because of maybe zombie verse, or maybe you just like zombie apocalypse stuff. From time to time, I am to go on and just try to find some more zombie apocalypse things that are to be unique and interesting. And I hope I can still go on and keep finding those, because I just want to keep checking them out. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I've kind of gone through a big batch of them. Um, but if anything, I'm trying to go on and find more supernatural things that I can just be enticed by, and hope that also people are to click into them. So we'll see if that happens. So thank you for watching. But I'm gonna get out of here into a character list and whatever I have to really just help me walk me through these episode to episode things and just rattle off what is to all happen. Maybe I'll come up with some anecdotes, but I think most of this is just blow for blow, scene for scene, what all happens through this thing. So maybe at this point, this will be a thing for you to ride off in the sunset with, or maybe you had done that X number of seconds once you clicked into this and realized what it was. So that's completely fine, because I appreciate anybody going on and still subscribing, still going on and viewing any of this stuff, or going on and helping this channel out however you want to go on and do so and support it. And hope that I'll go on and just find some more interesting content to eventually fill the day today. A little bit of update. Like, yeah, I'd gone on to just kind of be dealing with pneumonia for a long time, and I actually am starting to feel a little bit better now. So that is to go on and be nice. Like, yeah, I woke up today and I'm still feeling like a little bit groggy and a little bit, but like that is just to be kind of like, well, it's just like the start of my day. Like I'm probably gonna feel crap right now, but eventually I'll just kind of the later and later the day comes as I get more hydrated and choose proper meals, I will probably have some kind of upswing, and then I'll feel a lot better. So here's hoping that will happen. I think as soon as I go on and as soon as I finish this video, I'll probably just go right from this to try to go on and just try to do another video, another piece of content, um, which will be a lot for me. But like, I kind of finished all of my Timu stuff a lot earlier, so I'll just go on and I'll just have to just make content because that's the only thing I can think of to do. So that's gonna be nice. To hopefully just kind of be prepared for the next bit of content. Because I'm yet to kind of like I'm yet to go on and do any kind of getting back into workouts because I did those for like a very long time. But like this pneumonia thing happened, it really just completely stopped me dead in my tracks to just be like, okay, I'm not gonna do any workouts until I feel better, and I'm still just kind of like I'm not really 100% sure. Uh, so until that time, to where I feel really completely sure, I'm just gonna keep trying to do content as much as I can, and then when I feel good enough to get back into workouts, then uh, you'll see me when you see me. Anyways, so let's pause here. Let's get all the stuff I need to out. All right, so there's gonna be like a lot of trying to avoid to learn anybody's names because 4 episodes. Really, I'll just have like Tendo's dad and mother just to be called dad and mother because I'm really not going to go on and do the due diligence here. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to everybody. Like, there's only so many characters that I will really give a crap about learning their names, but it's just like I'm at the very tail end of these things. That's when I just try to just like, okay, let's simplify things. So we kind of at the very beginning of this, and Tendo is at the farm going on and telling his father about his future, about how he's going to go to college and everything that is to go on and follow from that. And so eventually Tendo's father is to have this mantra, find your dream, the biggest one you can. Dreams keep a man solid. And that is the thing that this guy will go on and say over, over, and over somewhere in here. So eventually, I guess you'll have to just lean on that. So, and then it's kind of funny because Tendo in his brain is to kind of condescendingly like, well, what does my dad know about dreams? Like, because eventually Tendo's dad will go on and mention what his dream is, and his dream is space. And they'll go on and they'll talk about the stars, and his dad seems to know so much about the stars. And I'm just going to be like, okay, well, if you can kind of go on and kind of do almost anything, maybe you can even go up into space. I probably really wouldn't, because if anything, you're probably not going to have somebody smart enough to be an astronaut to go with you in space, or anything could go wrong in there, and then who do you have to. But if anything, like I'm honestly just thinking also about Fanboys versus Zombies, where I think at some point they go into space. So I'm just thinking of it that way. So, all right. So now we cut to the road trip. We have our characters that are driving along, and we even find out that Kensho doesn't even know uh, Tendo's dad. It's like, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because Kensho had been with Tendo during college, and yeah, like there is never a time where they physically met up together. So Suzuki goes on and mentions to Tendo, it's like, well, yeah, you haven't been home in like a number of years, right? You haven't been home in like 3 years. Because, yeah, the guy was just endlessly working at this job. So there was no way he was going to be able to go on and go back home. It was just impossible. So here's where our group here gets stymied by this tunnel. This tunnel is to go on and have all these large vehicles and these sandbags all around them from both the entrance and exiting holes. Anyways, so the group goes on to make their way to find out why this tunnel is to be blocked. And Tendo kind of sticks his head in to eventually see so many zombies within this tunnel. So they're questioning whether or not that Tendo's family is to be safe then if there are so many zombies within this tunnel. But they make the rationale that, well, wait a minute. Like, if all these zombies are blocked off in this very specific location, then there's a surefire amount of just thinking that these people were actually to go on and be safe. So that's the logic there. So they all go on and they realize that there's no way for them to drive to Tendo's father's farmland. So these people all go on and they all get their backpacks, which I'm like, okay, where did they get backpacks from? Also, I'm like, oh my god, they got backpacks? I'm like, in my mind, I was thinking that a backpacker could be a guy or girl, because either way, like, I'm sure it'd be. I'm thinking that women will absolutely survive the zombie apocalypse. Absolutely. But that's just me. So, and I don't really care what anyone else thinks. But anyways, is there anything like, yeah, like, anyway, pushing on. So we have backpackers here, and they're making their way through this brush of woods, and they all of a sudden come across this guy who is running crazily, and his name is Kumano, and he's running from a zombie boar. I'm like, good, we're still getting more like zombified animals because I like that idea. It's hard to do in a live action or whatever kind of thing, except for just stupid CGI, which just looks bad. Or if anything, you can kind of puppeteer it, and it just looks stupid that way also. But if anything, it's not like you're going to go on and be able to pull off lickers in from Resident Evil in a live action sense, and it actually comes off really cool. But anyways, so we have Kumano, and he ends up getting saved by Beatrix because she fires off her bow. So we have a Legolas kind of going on here. So Kumano is to be so grateful that they had saved him, and so they're like, well, hey man, what are you doing out here in the woods? Like, this seems kind of stupid. But when you kind of think about it, like, Last of Us, we would go on and just have Joel and the little girl, and they're just off in the forest, and they just have this little car, and they just have this fire, and like, nothing to worry about. But if anything, in The Last of Us, there isn't animal zombies now, is there? From my recollection, I don't think there is. So, if anything, they don't have to worry about the animal zombie of things. So, Kumano mentions that he was out here just making a treehouse, and eventually he found a zombie boar. So eventually he has gone on to build this like template for this tree house. And it has a ladder, and it eventually just has this like floor, and it's kind of well up above uh, a certain height. And once the group goes on and notices this, it's like, well, hey, like, so, like, yeah, you've gone on and built this treehouse thing. This is like the smartest thing. Like, we can, if anything goes wrong, this can be our kind of home base because it's so secluded. And Tendo is just seeing this like you would see dollar signs on something. Like, oh my god, I see how valuable this is. Oh, so Tendo is going on and wanting to help out this guy build this treehouse, and we'll come to find that he has a whole backstory that ties into the treehouse thing. So, as they start going on and building this treehouse, we also come to find that this Kumano guy is to be this carpenter, so he has like the perfect skill set. So, as they start building it, Tendo goes on and asks this guy, okay, why is it that you were to want to go on and want to build this treehouse? And eventually he starts tearing up. He goes on to mention that his son had always ever wanted to build a treehouse with his father, but coincidentally, his son had died during the zombie apocalypse, so it was never going to be a thing. It was never going to happen. So, Kamano, with tears in his eyes, is to go on and tell Tendo this story. And then Tendo is like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to go on. I'm going to help you build this treehouse. And like this is the one thing that this guy has ever always wanted. So Tendo is happy to help him. So after the tree houses go on to be built here, and they even built a slide, which is kind of weird. It's like, what is the point of the slide? Like, if anything, a slide is kind of dangerous. Like, a zombie will figure out how to do the slide eventually if he's hungry enough. Like, I would go on and figure out how to go back up a slide. Uh, yeah, so it's just like, where is the where is the intelligence there? So Kumano is to mention the group. It's like, well, hey, if you guys need anything, you guys can come back here. Like, it seems that the group of them are all to become really quick friends. So we then push on here, and Tendo needs to go on, and he needs to have more of an urge to meet up with his parents because, if anything, that story about the guy losing his son made Tendo go and realize, like, well, hey, I really need to go on and meet up with my parents to see if they are okay and hope that they are not dead. So the group go on, and they're by this mountain that has this bit of lip that they have to walk onto, and it's a very thin lip. So Tendo goes on and tells the group that this is the normal way to make it to their area. So for him, like, it's not as scary, but for the rest of the group, this is the first time ever doing this, so it's scary to them. They also have this bridge thing that they're walking over. So I'm like, are we gonna go on and do like the Indiana Jones moment where eventually we have to like break this bridge or cut this bridge? Because I've seen that happen countless times. And yes, they do the exact same thing here, where eventually they have to cut the bridge and they have to swing over because all the zombies are coming and like, oh yeah, are the zombies gonna figure out how to use the bridge? Anyways, so after they go on and make it through the bridge, they go on and they can see their house from here, basically. So we have Tendo that goes on to make his way into the farmland and further goes on to find a public area that has a good number of people. All of them seem to be having fun in their underwear, just dancing and wearing masks and just being stupid. And the whole group is to go on and just be laughing and just be like, oh, well, hey, yeah, I guess you guys are all okay. So Tendo goes on and is to spot his parents and goes to them. Immediately, Tendo, when meeting up with his parents, goes on to start crying and mentioning all of the stuff that his parents had ever gone on to do for him, to get him to the point to where he could go on and go to college and then go and have this job. Like, he is like forever grateful for what all they had done. And the more and more he starts crying and confessing to his parents about how much they did mean to him, we then bring in Tendo's father. Tendo's father goes on and punches Tendo in the face. And I'm like, thank God, less crying in the show. So, funny enough, we have the group that's behind Tendo that's like, man, like, your father is not what I expected him to be. Yeah, of course he isn't going to be the guy that you expected him to be. Because he's not like Tendo. So, the group goes on and makes their way to Tendo's house. And they eat up all the food. And so Tendo's mom is talking about how they've kind of been dealing with the zombie apocalypse. How it's like, well, yeah, they're very secluded. So if anything, once the zombie apocalypse happened, they're just like, well, like, if anything, like, the zombie apocalypse isn't going to be so easily coming here anyways. So they explained how they filled that tunnel, and how also, like, when uh, it's winter and it snows anyways, they're kind of very kind of left to themselves anyways. So for them, it was easy to adapt to a world like this. If anything, it was just kind of Tuesday anyways. So, but it seems there was a number of outsiders that were so desperate to go to this location, but eventually there was to be one person infected in the tunnel, and then that's what happened with the tunnel. So here's where we go on and we see the first appearance of a character I believe is Higurashi, or I'm going to call him Kanta. Higurashi is to be the leader of the whiny crybaby group that is to be the people with their own notebook and their own agendas. So we briefly see them in the background here. Uh, this secondary group, and eventually we'll go on. We'll get all of their life story, which is boring as f. So I'll try to, as much as possible, briefly explain all of those. So Tendo is to go on and realize his purpose of being back home, and it is to try to be the best son possible, to try to win over his parents. So as Tendo's mother is to go on and try to clean all the dishes, Tendo is to try to do that for his mother. And the more and more that he tries to do things for his mother is just like, no, you know what? I can just do the dishes. Like, I'm fine. Like, just do whatever you want. So But here's when Tendo's father comes in. It's like, well, hey, you want to do something? How about you help me out? How about you help me in the farm? So Tendo goes on and he starts farming. He's doing physical labor, folks, like just like he was doing with that whole truck thing. He's doing now physical labor and he's getting tired and good for him because yeah, like at least he's God, I'm being such an a-hole sometimes. Um, but yeah, so Tendo goes on and he's doing physical labor, and to me, it's like, yeah, all of this stuff is like really taxing. Like, man, they're having to do a lot of cardio to run all over the place. They're having to do all of these areas that are to have to go on and have to do a lot of stuff. Like farming, like you basically have to wake up at the crack of dawn to do a number of things and kind of have very much upkeep throughout the day. But anyways, so Tendo is to talk to his father about like, well, hey man, like have you really been just doing all the farm all by himself? And the dad is like, well, yeah, it's not so bad. Like, if anything, like as a society, if somebody needs help, they'll go on and ask for it. But yeah, but it's just uh, like they've been just doing these things for such a long time, and so like, why bother? Just kind of like if they've gone on to just do something in such a way for so long, why change it? And there was a lot of nothing there. I apologize. So we then cut to Tendo's dad, and he seems to have blood on his hand. And we have to assume that Tendo's dad was to have maybe coughed up this blood, but I think the blood is actually coming from Tendo's ass, from how much Tendo was be locking his lips onto it. But also, spoilers, everybody, for the reveal of what is to be wrong with Tendo's dad. Um, yeah, there ends up being a unsignificant thing that is to be dealing with it, and it ends up being none other than hemorrhoids. And that's where the blood is coming from. And I'm like, oh well, like for a guy who's to be a farmer, like well yeah, I guess if you sit in a uncomfortable place for long enough, yeah, you probably will go on, you probably will get that. So it does make sense for him to get it. But also it's just like you would think that this guy is very healthy. That's I don't know. But either way, yeah, I guess like if you have to just um, figure out that yeah, like it would make sense for this. Anyways, but it is kind of stupid how they have to have blood on his hand, and then you have to assume that he's coughing it. And then also this guy says like, well, like I guess it was only a matter of time, and like I only have so much time left. It's like the way he just says that, it's like you're thinking that he's going to die, and then come to find out, it's like, oh, like he's just saying this just to say it, but it doesn't even make sense to him. So, like, I guess you could say, like, well, it's only a matter of time before he was to have something that was to be really going wrong with his body for how he was to push himself. I guess that is to be the thing. Pushing on. So we have Tendo with his dad with these whole like sacks of cabbage, and they cross Kanta. As Tendo turns, he realizes that Kanta looks familiar, but he can't quite place him. So now we go on and we have to tell the story of Kanta. Kanta seems to be a character that is to have gone on and liked a bit of cigarettes. So Kanta, we come to find out, was to have gone to the same college as Tendo did, and was to have also made his way to the same farmland that Tendo did because he lived there. So Tendo was to have gone on during the zombie apocalypse and made his way to a very certain store because he wanted cigarettes. And eventually he was to find a zombie. But Kenta, as the zombie apocalypse started to break out, he realized, oh my god, I'm finally free, just like Tendo. So Tendo started to realize, or Kanta started to realize, because I'm getting these confused easily. Kanta was to go on and realize, like, well, hey, I can go on and I can scavenge for anything now. I can do whatever I want. Ooh, yeah, how nice this is. So Kanta decided that he's going to go on and he is going to collect all these cigarettes, which is stupid. So you're going to go on and get a thing that's going to kill you during a zombie. Plus, also, you being a smoker in a zombie apocalypse is the stupidest thing. It really is. Because it's going to conflict with your airflow and make it worse for you to run because you're going to be running in the zombie apocalypse. Just straight up saying. Just, I hate to break it to those of you that are smokers out there and you're thinking you're going to win, win, win no matter what during a zombie apocalypse. Yeah, it's not going to happen. So, but anyways, maybe you're just severely athletic anyways, and maybe that just trumps you having your cigarette addiction. I don't know. I'm allergic to cigarette smoke, so I guess like I'm to just be an a-hole of just bringing that up to people. Anyways, so I can't smoke cigarettes. Even though a lot of people are like, well, your allergy is a lie. To me, it makes sense enough to not do it. So, anyways, this is stupid to bring up. It really was. So, Kanta, here's where he goes on, and he goes into this place. I think it's either a pharmacy or another cigarette store. I'm not quite sure. He goes on and he hears people in the background. He opens up this this curtain. Wow, like man, that is to really protect these people from any zombie just walking in. He opens up this curtain and finds this group of people at this table, and they're like, ah. So Kanta then finds these people. Then immediately after that, finds the notebook, and he has this group of people together, and it's like, hey, let's go on and let's fill out this notebook of all these things that we've ever wanted to do. So they start writing it out. They want to fire a real gun. They want to go on and blow a stick of dynamite. The one girl of the group, who I believe is Toko, she is to go on and want to blow up the company that insulted her because they'll bring up the whole backstory of her, which, in all honesty, she was to be the only one in that company that was really complaining about everybody and not being satisfied by anyone. So she was just kind of miserable in that company. So, hey, if you were really miserable, there's one thing that you could have gone on to do, and you could have quit. You could have walked out. You could have stopped going. Anyways, so, and that is to, I think, end this episode here. So on to the next one. So the next thing we see is Tendo. He's getting dreadlocks, just like we see here. I don't know why. It's just something for him to do. He said that he's always ever wanted to try it. And I'm like, well, I guess this makes his character different. It makes him look unique. There's very few number of dreadlock people that are to be in Walking Dead. Or when they are to be dreadlock people, they are to be very standoutish and significant people. Like the guy who had the tiger in Walking Dead, or I'm sure there's maybe more than that, but that's the only one that kind of stands out. So Tendo goes on and he now has dreadlocks because he has hair extensions. You would honestly think Tendo within a farmland would want to have shorter hair, not longer hair, but maybe he is to be a guy that can be easily hydrated, and also maybe he doesn't get hot as easily. I don't know. I don't know his body. So, I don't know his body. Anyways, so Tendo goes on and he starts talking to the girls that are with the girl who had made the dreadlocks in his hair extensions. And we come to find out why these girls were to have all been here. One girl was a teacher in the university, and another was to be a professional makeup artist from the films, from the movies. And Tendo's like, "Oh, you're a makeup artist from a film? Would it be anything that I've heard of?" And the girl ends up giving a picture of a movie she was working on, and it was none other than the film that we consistently keep seeing, which is to be the guy who is John that ends up getting this zombie horde to run after him, or he gets chewed up by the end of the film after he says, "Oh my God, I'm free," whatever. This is to be the song of the zombie or the song of the dead. Not quite sure why it's called Song of the Dead, but whatever. I guess it just needs to have just some slappy title. So the girl was going on and mentioning how this project was to have had a sequel, and they were on set, and unfortunately, they couldn't have figured out that there'd be a zombie apocalypse going on in this zombie set. So eventually, we have our makeup artist going on and putting makeup on an actor that all of a sudden ends up getting attacked by this zombie and ends up eating and killing him. And so yeah, so for a set like that, it just took a while for them to figure out what was really going on. So we then cut to Shizuka, and Shizuka is to be taking this device and kind of blowing into this fern, this oven-like device, and it's to meet up with a girl named Tomei. So the two of these characters become quick friends, and all of a sudden, Shizuka ends up getting grabbed by this old man that is to have dementia or doesn't know any better, and is to assume that this girl is to be his wife and is to really get her and his wife confused. So Tomei grabs this old man and says, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this guy gets easily confused," and so he just kind of wanders around trying to find his wife. So this guy ends up opening the door, and it's to mention to Tomei how he had cut his arm, and is hoping that Tomei could figure out how to help him here. And all of a sudden, Shizuka goes on to explain exactly how that this guy should be holding his arm, so it can avoid for him to spill more blood. So immediately Tomei looks at Shizuka and is like, "Wow, you know quite a bit about medical stuff, right? Like, are you some kind of doctor?" And Shizuka's like, "No, I just know quite a bit." Then all of a sudden, everybody just starts coming out of the woodwork. There's a guy with a back problem. There's another guy that is to be talking about his knee, and all of a sudden, like, there is just a number of people that are going on and saying, like, "Hey, I think we have some doctor here. Yeah, we have some doctor." So they all start coming out of the woodwork. So Kensha is now talking to one of these farmers, and there is to be this large, I'll say, bowl or pot that's underneath the ground that is to be filled with fertilizer, feces, the doo-doo, crap. So, poo! And I could go on, but I think, shit! But I think I've got on to explain all of this. So Kancho ends up talking to this guy, and of course is like, "Well, yeah, we like like it makes all the sense in the world to go on and have a fertilizer be a thing that we could use for the farm, because of course, like, it just helps the crops, blah 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 blah. So also, like, the farmers make a joke of like, hey, you want to go on and you want to take a dip into the crap bath, the crap tub, the whatever. And so Kensho is like, no. So all of a sudden, as the two of them are starting to talk here, they all of a sudden notice this little girl who has this little dog. So they mentioned how they had found this little girl, and it seems that she is to have lost her entire family, and the only thing that is left is just her and this dog. Oh, how sad. Who really gives a Because this girl would go on and just be latched to the hip, and her name is Anju, or Anju. Anju with an A. Anju. So Kensho is to realize how sad she is, and so he goes over and starts juggling all these balls. And is eventually mentioned how he wants to go on and do this specific trick while he's naked or something. I have no idea. And Anshu is like, well, you're a bit of a perv. And so, but eventually, the further and further that Kenshu starts talking to her, she eventually laughs. So, eventually, that is a stupid thing where Kensho can go on and cross off his list of being a stand up comedian, even though that is the dumbest thing and it irks the out of me. It really does, folks. It really does. Anyways, so we then cut to Beatrix. So Beatrix makes her way to this other farming land where there is to be this girl that is to be having this water wheel attached to her home. And we come to find out that this water wheel is to seemingly be able to, via the conductor of power of whatever it's going on and accumulating here, is to be able to get enough electricity together to have a electric fence be operational through the whole part of town. And so we would have this woman explain to Beatrix that the electricity is at such a low voltage that if anybody is to go on and touch the fence, it's to kind of be like a very small shock, but it's like, it's not something that would kill anybody. It's to just go on and just have somebody touch this electric fence, be like a zombie or something like that, and be cautious about wanting to go in there, or maybe like an animal, like a boar or something, that would give them the jerk to be like, oh, okay, I guess I won't go there. I guess that's just the wrong place to go, and they would be unenticed to keep bopping at the fence. So eventually we'll come to find that this fence ends up getting broken later, and the voltage is to be turned way up. And I think Kensho ends up touching the fence and then realizing how high the voltage is, I think. It's kind of like Jurassic Park, where eventually they have that fence where the kid touches it and like, ah! And he falls off, and we laugh at him because he's a kid and he's on the electric fence. So, anyways. So, we then have me need to cut to somewhere. And I'm honestly trying to figure that out. Because a lot of this shit is just nonsense. Okay, so we have Tendo and we have Kensho, and they're together. And then all of a sudden, off in the distance, they see Kanta walking by. And they end up waving at him, but this guy does not really respond. Because he really doesn't care about these people. So eventually they figure out why this guy looks so familiar to him. And then all of a sudden, there ends up becoming, I think, a flashback that I think happens here. Oh, no, maybe not. So, but if anything, Kanto is like, well, yeah, it's good that these people are back here because it feels like this is destiny to kind of resolve the whole thing of, like, Kanto was never bullied in school, in college, but for some reason he just hates these guys, and I don't know why. Because it's just, this guy's an idiot. So we have Tendo, and he meets with his pop late at night, and they decided to share a drink together. And here is where Tendo's dad starts talking about space and lights and or lights, stars and what have you, and starts to go into math about space and da 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 da. And here's where he goes on, and again he does the whole speech about like, well, hey, yeah, have a dream and and give it all you got and blah blah blah. The thing that he said before, the whole thing about the dream thing, um, where it makes a man solid. Yeah. Find the biggest one you can. As I want to severely roll my eyes. Anyways. So, Tendo is to go on and say for his list that he's going to scrape off, go home and spend time with my parents. So at least that's a thing that he crosses off his list. So now we see Toko, the girl from the bad group. She goes on late at night and she destroys the electric fence. She turns the voltage way up and she breaks it. While also going on and getting this key for the construction bulldozers and cranes and stuff to move those. So Kant is to apologize for the wait for the zombies, of how they've had to wait too long for this bit of chaos to start here. So the bad group, the whiny bee were babies, go onto their bulldozer and drive off, while also having for Kanta a bit of dynamite. And it looks like Toko has had this kind of like weird, goofy chainsaw of a thing. It's a very weird chainsaw, as well as also like these guys just have really estranged weapons. Anyways, so they go on and they have a thing on the evil people's list of Notebook. So everybody's having a good time partying and what have you, and we are to all of a sudden eventually have zombies making their way into town. Eventually, two random people are to go on and spot over there, and Beatrix is to be kind of brushing down this horse, or taking care of this horse. I have no idea what she's doing. I hope she rid the horse. What am I saying here? So, uh, so Tendo is to be the one kind of spotting the town from the distance, and realizes that there are flames that are bursting upon the town. Whatever I'm saying here. Does this sound cool? It doesn't. Great. Anyways, Tendo goes on to find that the town is being set ablaze. That's what I wanted to say. And Tenno's like, what the heck is going on? So we come to find that the town is filling with zombies. And so Tendo's dad is to tell Tendo, hey, you go on and you take care of your mom. That's all it should be. Or no, wait. Tendo's dad is to tell Tendo, you go on, you take care of your friends. I'll go and I'll find your mother and I'll take care of her. That's all we have to care about. If anything, yeah, like that's our big concern. So we now have the Bulldozer group with all their zombies, and we have Kanta that is mentioning how hilarious this is. And now we have Shizuka. Shizuka is going on and telling everybody to get inside, barricade as best they can. And all of a sudden, there's to be a number of zombies that are being in front of Shizuka. And immediately, all these farm guys that had gone on and been helped by Shizuka back to health are using their weapons, their farm weapons, to kill these zombies in front of her. And they're firing off all these guns because they're all hunters and stuff like that, because they hunt for their kill. And they realize that it's no use. They realize that they need to get back inside. So these guys are letting off dynamite, they're letting off explosives, and if anything, if these people won't get out of their homes, they'll drag them out. So either way, these people are going to get killed by zombies, whether they want to or whether they don't. And we also have the chef character, whose name completely escapes me, because his name always will. He is to go on and be firing off a gun. His name is a Tembo, and a Tempo will have that firing off a gun thing off of his list. So, we have Shizuka that is watching the carnage unfold. We have Kensho that is grabbing onto Anjo, or Anju, whatever her name is, and trying to avoid the zombies. Beatrice is to help Kensho by slicing through some of the zombies, and Kensho is to tell B that he's happy she's there. So here is where Tendo's group reunites here, and they're coming up with a solution of possibly, hey, we should probably go on and get to that bridge so we can get out of town. We can get out of Dodge. So Beatrix is to mention about the electric fence. And we have Kensho that goes on and grabs the fence and gets horribly electrified. He should be dead at this point, but he's not. So Shizuka goes on and smacks Kensho to where he falls off the fence. So the fence is surrounding this entire area, so they realize that they have to go on and they have to figure out a way to stop that fence from being electrified, because it's all over town. So Beatrix is going to go on and stop this fence from happening, and then Toka is to follow her to stop her from doing that. So we have Tendo and we have Kensho, and they go on and they try to confront the bulldozing people, Kanto and his friends, and ask them why it is that they're doing this. And really, Contro's group just wants one last summer bit of fun, and they have a bucket list. And on list number 37, it says F up society. So Tendo goes on to explain to him, it's like, wait a minute, you have a bucket list too? And you're doing the same thing I am? And you're not being original? And so Kanta goes on and says that they had met up in college. And like there's just a brief moment of us just seeing a flashback. And Concha is to just be disgusted by Tendo's existence, and and he wants Tendo to become a zombie. That's his grandmaster plan. So we have Tendo that is going on and talking about freedom. Tendo, are you like Captain America here? Like, are you gonna go on and be like Sam Wilson from Captain America? It's like, Senator, you need to do better. Like, that's what's kind of going on here. I'm not going to go on and say exactly word for word what Tendo says, but he just goes on and talks about the freedom that Kanta has the freedom to do what he's doing, but also, like, they have the freedom to try to stop him also. Anyways, so Tendo's dad goes on and finds Tendo's mother, and he tries to hunker down at the house and is to be just holding off by the door. So the group goes on and realizes that they have to retreat here. Tendo's group has to retreat and they have to spread out. Because they have their agenda of things that they need to accomplish here. So as Shizuka she leaves because she needs something to do, Kensho realizes that Anjo has disappeared, so he needs to find her again. And Beatrice is off on her horse to get to the whole um, electric fence thing. So we now have Tendo that is to be confronted with Kanta. So Tendo goes on and starts striking away at all these zombies, and we cut to the end of the episode. So the next episode, we find Anja trying to find her dog that is humping some rooster. And so Kanja tries to stop the dog from humping a rooster, whatever. So Kensho finds Anja and is to shush her before a zombie walks by. So we all of a sudden have the zombies that surround Anja's house. So Anja and Kensho decide to get on the roof. All of a sudden, the two of them are to be confronted by one of Concha's men. And this guy is to end up being. Who is this douchebag? Because he really is a douchebag, because I don't like him at all. He is to go on and be a character that looks like he doesn't really have a name. Because, of course, he probably doesn't really have a name. Because he's not important, because he freaking sucks as a person. I can't find his name. What's it? Oh, Shigenobu. Shigenobu. Sure, that's gonna be his. I'm hoping I'm butchering that, but whatever. Shingenobu. Shingenobu. So we come to find out that this character is to just be b-wording and moaning because of his last wife. And so we now cut to Beatrix, and she is trying to get to the electric fence. She ends up getting stopped by Toku, who's on this tractor, and Beatrix has the horse fall over, and Beatrix falls down to the ground. So Toku ends up having her weird looking chainsaw, and Beatrix has her samurai sword. So they're going to duel here. So Shizuka goes on to meet up with the elderly people that are hiding out at the home. And Shizuka is going on to tell this group that she's there so that way she can protect them to get them the heck out of there. Because they're not in a safe place. Tomei goes on and tells Shizuka that it's like, well, hey, we're old now. Like, if anything, like, if we die here, it's completely fine. So, if anything, just don't try to to protect us. Just go on and just kind of do whatever you need to do to survive. Because if anything, these elderly people, they're too slow and they'll just weigh her down. So Shizuka goes on to decide to run off, and eventually she is met by Tembo, the character guy who is to be the chef, and eventually we'll get to his whole life story because we have to give a shit about it for some reason. So Tenno's dad's home is now getting invaded by zombies. They're crashing through the door at this point, and Tenno comes back to save his parents and save their house from getting invaded by zombies and killing all the zombies. So Tenno starts killing all these zombies with this hoe or whatever he has, and Tendo is to say to his father that he wants to go on, and he realizes how much he owes his parents. So if defending this house is going to equate to what all his parents has ever done with him, then like he feels worth it to defend their house from zombies. So Tendo's father goes on and opens the door, grabs Tendo, throws him into the house, and then Tendo's dad goes out there and starts wailing on all these zombies. Tenno's dad tells him, hey, you want to repay me? How about stay alive? Stay in the house and defend your mom and defend your friends that are in the house. So now we get a flashback. And at first, I actually thought that this was a flashback of Tendo's dad. But no. Instead, we get a flashback of the guy who is to be on the roof with Kensho. Because if anything, these guys look the exact same. Tendo's dad and this guy who's on the rooftop with Kensho look the exact freaking same. So we come to find that this guy's a drinker at a bar, and eventually he's to have a wife that he like all she cares about is when his next promotion is going to be, and that's about it. They've kind of just fallen out of love with one another. And eventually when Shiguchi, whoever this guy is, like all he's to go on remember is just all his wife cared about is just his next promotion. And so now we cut to Shizuka and her getting confronted by Atembo. So Atembo is to make his way through either these cornfields or these huge weeds. I'm not quite sure. So it looks like a cornfield to me. So Atembo is to mention to Shizuka how it's his lucky day, and his lips are just so like salivating and gross. So on the list, he wanted to go on and put his tongue down a woman's throat, and he's looking at this girl and be like, hey, this seems to be the girl I can do this with. So Shizuka is running as we start to see a big, huge thing of lips that is stalking her. So Atembo is to mention how he was never lucky with women or money. And so the next thing we see is him being a chef in a restaurant. At some point, we have this waiter that is talking to the chef, and they end up getting these numbers incorrect. And so Atembo is just trying to have a really hard time figuring out um, which order to go to which table. It's very confusing. So after Atembo goes on and cleans up for the night, he of course is to be a person that is to be a cigarette wielding guy. So Atembo goes on and he thrusts his cigarette into a trash can and walks away. Come to find out, after a bit of time later, we come to find out that the whole restaurant has completely burned down. And Atembo's like, well, I guess I'm out of a job. So Atembo is to now fire off his rounds of his gun. So I'm like, dude, I'm sure you have completely ran out of bullets already for how very few bullets there were in this gun, and you're just randomly firing them off. Plus, also, this guy should be not shooting this in the air. It's going to attract zombies. And then also, this guy should be using as much bullets as he can to stop this girl from what she's doing and force her if that's what he's going to do. Because gross. So, we now come to find that the guy who is to have gone on and was to thrust his arms onto Shizaki or Shizuka is to be Kongoji. Kongoji is to wake up and realize that these people need to act. That, yeah, they're elderly, they're old, but they should go out fighting. They should go out guns blazing. And that's what he kind of like has them go to a call to arms. As well as also, this guy is to be seemingly a marksman because he's to have experience, I believe, in the military. And so he's going to go on and use this whole marksman thing to take out Atembo or whoever is to be a threat within this farmland. So now we're back with finally Beatrix and Toko. I'm going to go with Toko. So we come to find out that Toko is to be very skilled in fencing, and eventually the only problem with this chainsaw that Toko has is it's so loud. Yeah. You guys are to have guns and chainsaws and dynamite. You guys have the dumbest weapons in a zombie apocalypse because it makes so much effing noise. You're just attracting more zombies because you're stupid. But if anything, they're bad people anyways, so they have to do stupid crap. So, we now get the backstory of Toko, and we find out that she is whining and moaning to her superiors, and she's not satisfied about her job, to the point where people are gossiping about her. Like, oh yeah, that's a girl that complains all the time. Ugh. So, we're now back with Kensho, because we have to freaking bounce all the way the goddamn around in this show, because we have nothing better to do. So, Kensho is met with the guy of which that it's hard to pronounce his effing name, because it's hard. It's hard, folks. Shigagen Nobu. His last name is hard to pronounce also. Kurosaki? I'm going to go with that. Kurosaki. Maybe I'll remember that. These names. So, I'm sorry. Sometimes they lock in, and then sometimes I'm just like, I can't remember this name for the life of me. Kurosaki. Kurosaki is going on and holding Kensho over the edge of this roof, and is to have this kind of pitchfork like weapon to push him to the edge, And so, as this guy whines and complains about him being the victim and how his life didn't turn out the way he wanted it to be, and how his wife didn't treat him right, Kancho goes on and says, like, well, hey, like, you know what? If you really loved your wife, you would have treated her like a queen, and you would have bent over backwards for her. If anything, that just wasn't you, so that's kind of your fault. And and Kencho gets really preachy here. So eventually, Kencho decides with Kurosagi, like, well, hey, you know what? If you want to jump, if you want me to just be off the edge of this roof, like, Kencho decides that he's going to go on and take this guy with him. So both of them fall off the roof, and Kencho decides that he's going to take off his clothes again for the 18th time, and he is to jump his way into the bath full of crap, because it's kind of like the Terminator, or the Terminator, the Predator. It's kind of like the Predator, where the Predator goes on and he dumps his way into the mud, so it cuts off his heat signature. Kencho is going on and dipping his way into this bath, so that way his smell will definitely not go on and have it be that he's human. Like, the zombies will just be smelling and, like, yeah. So I guess they'll go on and stop Kencho uh, from being attractive to these zombies. So once Kencho gets out of the bath of crap, we have to censor him throughout this whole rest of the thing. So not only are we censoring already his schwants, his danbelows, his nethers, his twig and berries, we also have to go on and just censor him entirely, because I guess in an anime you can't go on and show a guy head to toe full of crap. So I don't know why that is, but I don't get the censorship. So okay, so now we go on to have Shizuki, and I think we have yet another moment here where Shizuki is going on and being very preachy to Atembo, the guy who has a gun to her and can pull the trigger at any moment. Uh, and Atembo is to get the gun ever so closer to Shizuki's head. And then all of a sudden, Atembo drops the gun, and we come to find that old man, who had gone on to kind of rally the troops, the the character of Kongaji is to have shot from off of this tower and taken the gun out of this guy's hand. Because bizarrely, this guy could shoot the gun out of this guy's hand, and it, like, shouldn't the guy have had blood somewhere? Shouldn't he have lost his hand? But anyways, uh, Shizuki is to be in tears, but then when she looks at her savior, she's to be just grateful. And then all of a sudden, all the elderly comes out of the woodwork and starts just beating the crap out of a Tembo, and calls him like whippersnapper and all this stuff. So they beat him to a bloody pulp, and they call. And so, anyways, uh, Shizuki is to be just happy that the group all showed up. Now we get back to Toka, and we get back to Beatrix here. And I want to try to see if I've gotten this name right, because I briefly looked at it. Yeah, look, Toko. Okay, so God, yeah, these names are really hard to remember when they're from characters that I want to forget. So, plus, like, this whole back and forth of how to end the show is just so stupid. Just go into one path of things. Start, finish, and end. Bouncing around is not helping things. So, Toko is to find that Beatrice is talking about a country, and further Toko is insulting her, saying about how she doesn't give a damn about her country, or anything, or her culture. And again, we have another moment where Beatrix is to go on and do this whole murdering Toko with a speech. Uh, Going on and talking about uh, I'll cut through all this. I'll just cut through all this. So Beatrix goes on and gets onto the wheel well, the water well, the water wheel is what I wanted to say. The water wheel. She grabs onto the water wheel, and then Toko is realized, like, oh my god, you're on the water wheel, and now none of the zombies are gonna get to you. The zombies do try, but if anything, yeah, they get eventually crushed. Because eventually the water wheel will get broken, and then the water wheel just starts rolling while Beatrice is on it. So, as Toko is to be distracted by looking at Beatrix on the wheel, Toko just falls to the ground, and then all of a sudden notices that zombies are to surround her, killing her. So now we're back with Tendo back at the house while seeing his father beat down all these zombies. We would go on to see Tendo's dad that just gets so tired that he falls to the ground. Obviously, he's spent a good chunk of time at the farm and he's getting tired. But Tendo's dad, it seems, is to fall to the ground and make it seem like he's sick, he's ill, and that's why he falls. Like, oh no, like it's starting to really get to me. Yeah, he's tired, and that's what's getting to him. It's not his illness. It's not. Yeah. So what we see here is Kanta on the bulldozer, pulling up Tendo's dad into the shovel part of this bulldozer, and so Tendo doesn't quite understand why his dad was saved by none other than this guy. So Kancha mentions about how Tendo is going to be difficult. That he wants to go on and force Tendo out here to become a zombie, and that is Kanta's ultimate goal. So, if anything, Kanta's making a bargain. hey, if you come out here and if you become a zombie, then I'll let your dad go. But, like, if you don't become a zombie, then just go out there and then your dad will die. So it's a trade off. Is Tendo going to become a zombie or is his dad? So Tendo's dad, it's like, well, hey, if you want to repay your parents, stay alive. That's how to repay them. Stay in the house. Never come out here. And so that's how the episode ends. So the next episode, we have to go into Kanta's backstory. So Kanta is to go on and have friends at some point. Because, yeah, this is a douchebag of a guy, but somehow he had miraculously had friends when he was really young. Him and his friends had gone on to the pool, and eventually we'd find that Kanta is this weird introvert. Introvert meaning that he is to be a person that is to be just shy around people or just doesn't enjoy others. Like I can understand. Like for me, I'm to be a very shy person. Like I like people. Like obviously, like going on and doing this. Like I like to interact with people. I like to share um information, and also I like to so. But yeah, I probably am to be very introverted. Like I don't go out much. Like I didn't date much. I didn't whatever. But um but me going on and doing this is like a huge jump of like, well, yeah, I am an introverted person, but I'm doing this to just try and talk to people, just to communicate in some way, and hoping that there's going to be some response back, even if it's just a view or it's a like or it's a condescending a-hole of a person that says something that really hurts my feelings, because that is to be a thing too. But at least it's some kind of interaction, because those happen from time to time. And it's like, oh well, I just move on and just do other things. So we have Kanta that is at college, and at one point he bumps into Tendo and Concho, and they're thinking about getting something to eat. And Kanta is to be very awkward, and Tendo asks Kanta, it's like, well, hey, you want to come with us to eat somewhere? And Kanto just runs away. So Tendo's like, well, okay, all right, well, like we'll just move on and we'll just go to eat together. So yeah, so they do remember this kid, but he's just an awkward guy. So now back to current time. So the ultimatum, Tendo, zombie or no zombie? To be or not to zombie? Or I probably should have said that differently. To not be or to be zombie? I effed it up. It's too late now. It's too late. Anyways. So Tando is asking himself, what the heck do I do? So again, his father is saying for him to don't come out, and so we have Tendo that goes on and speaks with his mother. And eventually Tendo's mother confesses that there's something wrong with his father. It doesn't say exactly what, but says that there's something really is wrong with his dad, and that they were going to want to have a doctor try and treat it, but they just couldn't get one in time. So really, Tendo's mother is to possibly say that Tendo's dad could possibly be having a life uh, altering situation, and more than likely that can go on and give Tendo all the more reason to not want to go out there, because if his dad is going to be close to be dying anyways, but it's still his dad. So Tendo is now in tears, realizing that either way, his dad's life is in jeopardy. And so Tendo's dad is to say how proud he is of his son, and if he is to die right here and now, he'll be up in heaven looking down on his son, happy for the man he's become. So we have Tendo. He opens the door, and the zombies come in. All of a sudden, the zombies come in. We hear screaming, we hear clunking, and then all of a sudden, we see Tendo coming out, and he's a zombie. Tendo's dad is just so sad. It's like, oh no, like my son is now a zombie. Oh, I can't look. So Kanta is to be so happy. He feels like he's won, and Tendo as a zombie is coming ever so close to the bulldozer, scraping at the bulldozer, and Kanta is to be yelling, I beat you. All of a sudden, Tendo is to still be a zombie, and then all of a sudden he grabs Kanta, thrusts him to the ground, and Kanta is so confused about what is really going on. So Tendo goes on and is to say, hey, to the rest of the group, hey, I have a plan. Like, it's going to take a lot, but I have a plan. So Tendo looks at the girl who's to be a makeup artist for movies to make zombie makeup. So she goes and quickly does all the makeup to look Tendo look like a zombie. And luckily, they have all this stuff within this house. So what the plan is for Tendo to go on and open the door and let all the zombies in, and the women to go on and use their weapons to kill all the zombies, and then Tendo is going to go out there and pretend that he's a zombie. And I'm like, man, this is actually really smart. I'm like, god dang, this is brilliant. So we now have all the dust settle, and we now see the notebook is now kind of crumpled up onto the ground. And Tendo ends up asking Kanta, as all the people from the house are now outside. Tendo asks Kanta, it's like, why? Why did you do this? And Kanta's like, well, I just wanted to have fun. And so Tendo is like, well, what is it that you've always ever wanted to do? Like, what is the one thing? And all of a sudden, Kanta is be grabbed by a zombie by the leg and be bitten. And zombies are still kind of roaming through the town. And so Kanta is to say all he's ever wanted to do is to be with his friends at the pool and swim one last time. And we get a flashback of that happening. So as Kanta is to slowly but surely become a zombie, they're reflecting back on Kanta and Tendo's interaction, and how I think kind of Tendo regrets not going on and befriending Kanta. And it's like, well, yeah, like maybe one day we should have gone on and we should have went to the pool together, and this whole thing may have not have happened. So and things could have ended up differently. So Tendo hugs Kanta while he's changing, which is stupid. Or while he's turning into a zombie, which is stupid. So So Tendo is telling uh, his friends and family here that because of the chaos that is going on within this farmland, that they need to get the heck out of there. That they need to create some distance. They need to go to the bridge and they need to escape. So Kanta makes his way to a water source and he jumps in. And Kanta is getting a flashback of him being back at that pool and jumping in with Tendo in the pool with him with all the zombie makeup on or zombified. So Tendo is to realize that there is still this electric fence, and what are they going to do about it? Kensho meets up with Tendo, and he's bare butt naked, and Shizuka is to now be with all of her elderly um, group also. So the next thing we see is Beatrix with the wooden wheel thrusting through this fence to break it because of how heavy it is. So right after that, we would go on to see everybody just booking it and making a run for it. So they go on and they make their way to the bridge and they find out that the bridge is completely out. All of a sudden, we bring back the treehouse guy and he thrusts this bridge for them to go on and for them to get out of here. Because he's like, well, hey, I noticed as I was making my way back here, I was kind of curious, and I found out that you guys, and this is a lot of convenience here. He mentioned that the bridge was to completely be out, so he remade one. So he throws the bridge, and we have Tendo, we have Kensho, and they're holding on the bridge as everybody is running to get out of there. So now Tendo and Kensho are having to go on and take the ends of the bridge and swing to then get free. And then all of a sudden we realize that they're like, well, hey, like these people are just kind of dangling at the very end of this bridge and they need to climb their way up. So, as seemingly Dawn has said here, and they kind of reflect on the whole evil notebook thing, and Nintendo is to say, it's like, well, yeah, that could have easily have been me, who could have been just like Kanta, but luckily he just didn't. And so Tendo's dad is to hold out his hand for Tendo. Tendo grabs his dad's hand, and he crosses off give back to his parents. So we now go on to move the construction bulldozers and such from the tunnel because it doesn't seem like, or no, wait, maybe they go on, they put up the tunnel, I'm not quite sure, but either way, they're not going to use the tunnel anyways. Because if anything, by the end of this, we do have Tendo and his friends just kind of get on the road trip and get out of the way, or get on their way. So, yeah, I think they do kind of just recover the tunnel because there's no zombies in there. Anyways, so we find the treehouse guy going on Kumano. Kumano makes his way through the town and is restructuring the town, and of course he's a carpenter, so he knows what he's doing. Da 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 da. So Shizuka and Tomei have this moment together where they're talking about how Shizuka is the village doctor and how they owe everything to her. And Shizuka is to say, it's like, well, hey, I'm not really a doctor. It's like, well, hey, close enough. Um, Kensho is to be with Anjo, and they're going on and they're building a fence. Okay, so Anjo is ill. Kensho, it's like, hey, you better come back at some point because you got to make me laugh. You got to show that stupid. You got to do that stupid trick that you were saying that you were doing before. So now Tendo's dad is in his bed resting, and he looks horrible. So we get to a point here where Tendo is to finally get revealed of what is wrong with his father. That he just has hemorrhoids. And so Tendo's like, wait a minute, what? Like, he just has hemorrhoids? Like, and so the mom is like, well, yeah, it is kind of a dangerous thing if it's not treated. And it is kind of, I guess it would be kind of life threatening. So but then like Tendo's like, well, wait, why is he just so out of breath, and why is he to go on and have this like have this fever? And it's like, well, yeah, because farming is just really hard. So Tendo again is to be reflecting on his father about whole find your dream, find the biggest one, and keeping a keep that dream because it'll make you solid. Blah, 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 blah. So Tendo is to say, it's like, okay, I got what my next goal is. I'm going to go on and I'm going to find a doctor to cure my dad of his hemorrhoids. And then I'm also going to go on and try to figure out a way to cure the zombie outbreak. I'm going to find an antidote. And so that means also that Tendo's goal will be to help humanity or cure humanity, whatever. But if anything, that's also going to force them to get out of this farmland, this city. So it also goes on and leads them to fill up more things on this list. And they start talking about traveling. They start talking about Shizuka's to make her childhood dream come true. And I think Beatrice is to mention that she wants to travel kind of outside Nippon. And Tendo is to say, it's like, all this sounds great. I think Shizuka is to say that she wants to swim with a dolphin. I don't know. Kensho wants to be part of a cruise ship. And Beatrix wants to live in a castle. So we then go on and have our group here get in their VR and or VR RV, and they're riding off in the sunset. We have Shizuka that has to go on and one last time talk to all the elderly people and talk to the one guy that saved her and convince him that she is not his wife. And Anjo is crying because Kensho is leaving. Tendo's mother is to give him a bunch of seaweed, and he's like, what am I going to do with all the seaweed? It's like, well, hey, you're probably going to run out, so at least you'll have plenty of this food. So they get in their RV, they get in the motorcycle, and then they start driving off. So they end up asking, or Kensho ends up asking, hey, what is the next plan? And their plan is to head to infection or infectious disease search lab, because that would probably be the one thing to maybe have a cure for the zombie apocalypse. And they're like, well, where are we going to find one of those? And Tendo is like, well, I'm just heading north. That just seems to be the most feasible thing to do, is just head north. So with that said, that is to go on and just kind of wrap up this episode. And I was like, God dang it. I was hoping that this was going to be under 2 hours, but it just went over 2 hours. Oh well. This was a hard one to go on and break down because it's a lot of stuff that was so boring and I did not care about. So this one was to be not as good as probably the other ones, or if I was ever really good at this. But this was a bad breakdown, I'll admit that. Some of these are really easier because I liked what I watched, but this definitely was to be one harder to be broken down. Overall, even when I was going and doing the beginning of this, I'm like, this is not going to be attractive enough. Because immediately I'm probably saying more negative than positive, as well as also, like I really should have gone on and done other things and reviewed other things. Because kind of looking at the last bit of views on the other one, I was like, this is not going to be that good. But like at least I started and I finished something. At least I can say that, because there are very few times where I go on and I complete something. But at least I'm going on and I'm trying to do this bit of content that to me was to just go on and be entertaining. I did at first, or the early parts of it, really enjoy it, but it just fell apart at the end. So with that said, I'm going to get the heck out of here so I can upload this, so I have another piece of content to put on the channel, and then hopefully right after this I'll go on and just start another piece of content, which I don't know if I'm going to go on and I definitely probably won't whip out today, but I probably will go on and hopefully the following day maybe do that also, because that's my ultimate plan. So since this is to go on and be done, I'm going to go into seemingly other anime pieces, and like I had gone on to like ask a number of certain anime pieces if people want to go on and check any of those out, and it seems that people are overwhelmingly having their kind of votes and whatever. So I'm like, cool, like at least people are interested in that. Like I can at least go on and be like, okay, that seems to be maybe people do like anime in this thing, and I can go on and do some of that, but then also get back into some live action things. There's a lot of things that I kind of had just been stalling, just getting to. I've been very lazy about it, so I'm going to be more proactive and try to get to those. Power Rangers, I'm trying to get to have those be out more consistently. I'm going to try like at least once a week to try to get those done. But if anything, for Power Rangers, like the real stymie of me getting those done is really just because there's quite a bit of shirts that I'm just kind of waiting on, that are to kind of be things kind of coming up in the future. There's like there's an Enjeti shirt that I'm getting shipped here that it's going to seemingly take quite a bit of time. Then there's also to be certain other shirts that are kind of in the queue. They're kind of in the bubble, and eventually I will get them also, I hope sometime soon. It might be a couple of weeks, it might be a month from now, I don't really know. But if anything, because that's, man, it's amazing what I've gone on to accomplish with this channel. But man, if I had funding, if I had sponsorship, if I had something, then man, this would be a channel that I would hope like I could really be just like really going on and really, like, I'd be like, I would have all the stuff that I would need to then turn around. Like, I can act a lot more quicker. I can go on and get certain items that are go on and tie into certain projects, and then I could see like, okay, uh, like there's a lot of times where I've held off so many projects just based on the fact of like, well, I don't really have a piece of clothing to connect with this. I don't have, but if anything, if I just had that funding, if I had the way of getting these things quicker, then I definitely would go on and make a lot more headway. I would make a lot more. Uh, I'd make a lot more uh, appealing bits of content across the board. But then again, also, uh, really, I think that is a pipe dream, as well as also like there's so many people that do thumbnails of a variety of different ways, as well as also there's some people that are hugely successful without needing to do any of the kind of stuff that I do. And so like it shouldn't be determined upon that for me to get these things, for me to thrust them on the thumbnail. But to me, I just weirdly feel that that thing to do is to be the thing that is to make it more successful. I don't know why, but I just feel that once all my ducks are in a row, or once I have all these things, that um, that's when like things will just have an upswing. But what do I know? I've been doing this for too long, and I'm grateful for people who are going on and really continuing to watch my content, as well as also a lot of people lately, or a lot of people, no matter the number, they are subscribing. So I'm like, great, like that makes me happy. That's like we're going into a positive direction, and I hope I can keep this momentum. I hope I can keep uh, momentum being. I hope I can keep going on and uh, keep doing content, as well as also uh, try to find the better of content, because I still haven't found that yet. I still haven't hit my stride of getting like a pattern of consistent content that people will enjoy. Hopefully, the anime stuff will go on and will hopefully get that momentum at some point in the future. But uh, I am to really have a lot of ideas that I can throw at the fan to see what sticks. So, uh, with that said, hopefully that somehow means that I'm going to be able to figure something out. I don't know. I've been doing this for a very long time. I had spent so much time on another channel, and that channel just fell off completely. I came here hoping that, like, oh yeah, I should probably go on and have this be a lot easier this time around. Um, for how it was to go on and just look at the numbers, and I just thought it was like, oh yeah, undeniably, like I'll go on and like I'll definitely make a drastic change here. But then when I started this channel, like, and all the successful things that I did was stuff where I was like overweight and I was fat, where it's like now I'm much more of a skinnier person, but I'm not quite sure if that's exactly like if I'm exactly to be considered a thin person, whatever. But anyways, plus I haven't worked out in quite a few days because I've just been ill with pneumonia. So yeah, I'm sure any of the muscles that I did have are completely lost now. Anyways, so But it'll be nice when I can get back into workouts and just feel good about myself. And hopefully get it back into uh, better looking shirt wearing shape. So that'll be nice. I'm ranting. So goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.